Accounting Standard 5 Net Profit or Loss for the period. Prior period items and changes in accounting policies. So in this section we go through what is ordinary item, what is an extraordinary item. We'll also see what is a prior period item and changes in accounting policies. So first is ordinary items. Activities that are undertaken by an enterprise as part of the business is called ordinary activities. From profit and loss of ordinary activities, if there are activities related to items of income and expenses of such size, nature or incidence, then their disclosure becomes relevant to give proper explanations of the performance for a particular period, and hence they need to be disclosed properly. In other words, in the following circumstances, the disclosures of financial statements be properly disclosed and may give rise to separate disclosure of income and expenses. The circumstances may be restructuring of the activities of an enterprise. Whenever there is a restructuring happening, we have to disclose the information. Disposal of items of fixed assets. There also we have to disclose. Legislative changes having reflective application, or whenever we write off inventories to net realizable value, disclosures are required. Disposals of long-term investments. Whenever there are long-term investments which are there in capital budgeting projects or any such projects, we have to be, the disposal should be there. And it's a long-term investment. In such circumstances, we actually disclose. If there is any litigation settlements, then also we disclose. So this is basically about the activities which fall under the ordinary items. Now let us see what are extraordinary items. Incomes or expenses that do not recur are termed as extraordinary items and arise from such events or transactions that are not repetitive in nature. So incomes or expenses that do not recur. If it's an expenditure, let us say if there is an expense which is a short-term expenditure, and if it is not supposed to recur, maybe it is buying some spare parts, which might recur, but if it is buying some machinery, small machinery in a budget, it may not recur. So those falls under extraordinary items. And it should not be repetitive also. If it should not be such that this year, we bought one machinery and the next year also we are going to buy the same machinery, then it is not the case. It should be non-repetitive, and incomes and expenses should not recur. They are actually called extraordinary items. Now let us see what are prior period items. Prior period items are items that are incomes or expenses which arise in the current period because of errors or omissions in the previous or prior periods. So if there is an omission made in the previous period, and if that is been incorporated in the current period, that is prior period items. And it may be incomes or expenses. Now let us see what is the accounting standard for this net profit or loss. Changes in accounting policy should only be made effective if and only if a different accounting policy is required because of non-compliance with an accounting standard. If there is mandate and consideration that such change may result in a more appropriate presentation of financial statements, and if the changes is required as a result of the statute. So this completes Accounting Standard 5, Net Profit or Loss.